our update for now is this, is basically we've been searching in the morning hours. Certainly our search has been enhanced by the daylight coming up, and we're very appreciative of that. But at the same time, we've had more assets come out in. The Volusia County Sheriff's Office brought in some airboats to help with the additional search area. We have a Coast Guard Jayhawk on scene that's doing overhead air search, as well as U.S. Customs, State FWC, and Flagler County Fire Rescue. Here's what we found thus far: is we have found more debris that is suspicious in nature of looking like an aircraft. We've started collecting to try to get it identified. We still don't have the main part of the aircraft or a fuselage. We're still hopeful that it's still a search and rescue. I know it's been approximately 9 hours since they lost contact with the aircraft. However, we're not getting up hope. We're going to continue on it. Sheriff Rick Staley is bringing forth all the assets to bear that we can. We have great partnerships with our state, federal, and local partners in this process. We're still hopeful that we're going to find survivors.
Could you reiterate that suspicious thing you said you just found?
We have found more debris that is suspicious that it could be possibly part of an aircraft. We're investigating that a little bit closer right now. We're trying to figure out if this is what it truly is or not. Again, these parts that we're finding are not identifiable to any particular aircraft. However, they certainly appear to be parts of an aircraft. So we're working across that. Yes.
Can you recap for us now where things stand right now?
Well, where we are right now is we have several airboats in the water, as well as regular boats. We have the U.S. Coast Guard, we have U.S. Customs on the water, as well as in the air. We've got dive teams working. We've got other crews from other agencies here to help us, and we're just going to continue to search for survivors. That is still our focus. That is still our thrust. Sheriff Rick Staley is going to commit resources till we find these people.
At what point might this switch to a recovery mission?
Well, it's not going to switch to a recovery mission until such time as we find the main fuselage of the aircraft. So we're going to continue to search for that and find that status. It is very possible that there still could be survivors, and we're going to continue to look for survivors.
Do we know how deep the water is over there? Because this fuselage sunk to the bottom?
You know, the Matanzas River runs down through that area, as well as there's a marsh that is well covered. You know, it could be in deep enough water that it makes it more difficult to see. It's murky, so the search conditions are hampered by that type of murkiness. However, we're going to stay on top of it.
Do you know where the additional debris was found?
Well, it was found in close proximity to where we found the earlier piece. So it is spread out across there. There's some in the river banks and such. So we're going to continue to focus in that area to look for the main fuselage of the aircraft.
What sort of debris was it? Was it part of an engine or the fuselage?
Well, it looks like maybe part of a what would be considered the rudder area of the aircraft. But again, we're not aviation experts. We don't know for sure that's what it is. And there's no identifiable markings except for paint that lead us to that belief that it could be part of that aircraft.
And Chief, can you also paint us a picture of what first responders are having to wade through out there? I mean, is it a very marshy area?
Well, over the marsh area, it's very difficult. Of course, it's full of wildlife, both dangerous wildlife that's out there as well. So we've been in those marshy areas. It's difficult. The water itself is murky, so it's really hard to see. Coast Guard's been very helpful with their Jayhawk overhead, helping us with the search efforts and directing. But we've got people on the water, on the ground, and in the air looking for these people.
Talk about that wildlife concern. Is there any concern perhaps with alligators?
Well, you know, this is Florida. There are snakes and alligators everywhere in Florida, and of course that's a wildlife preserve area over there as well. So there's always that potential that with water moccasins and alligators could be a threat to the survivors and to our search teams as well.
Chief, any divers?
We do have a dive team on standby to go out if we find something that looks suspicious that we can recover. They're in the boats working, so they can go over the edge of the boat at a moment's notice. So we have a dive team out there working as well.
Any further confirmation at this point on who or how many people you're looking for?
No further confirmation. Of course, the confirmation will come once we find the primary aircraft. Part of the aircraft is that who or what is in the aircraft as well. Certainly, we do believe that what we're searching for is what the FAA had told us to look for, is that small twin Piper Seminole. So we are hopeful. We believe there were 2 people on board. We don't know to what extent their condition would be and such. So we're still in a search and rescue mode.
Do we know if that airplane was supposed to land close by?
Well, there are no airports really close by to here. the next airport would have been Flagler Executive Airport in Palm Coast or St. Augustine. So we don't know what the conditions or circumstances or what they were even doing at this particular point in time. Once we have a confirmation on the aircraft of where it came from, we'll have a better idea if it was a commuter mission, it was a joyride, or maybe a training mission that they were on. So go ahead.
Have you guys had any coordination with authorities out of Brunswick, Georgia? Do they have any reports of missing people or anything like that?
No, we haven't had any coordination out of Brunswick, Georgia. We have some local area people that we're speaking to right now, trying to follow the investigation. The last place the aircraft took off from was Brunswick, Georgia. However, we don't believe that the aircraft originated in Brunswick. We think it's more of a local Central Florida aircraft. So we're following that lead to try to find people that may know about that.
What have witnesses been telling authorities this morning about what they may have heard?
Well, we have some local witnesses that have heard engine sputterings. We've even had one witness tell us that they thought they heard the crash itself somewhere just after 11 o'clock. Again, they didn't necessarily see it, they heard it since they had the cover of darkness. So we're still hopeful. We're following every lead and such. And we're going to continue to work this thing until we have a conclusion on it, and we're prayerful that it'll be successful and we'll have survivors to take care of.
Can you talk to us again about you mentioned that the debris was suspicious. Can you tell us what you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that, it looks like aircraft aluminum, and it has paint on it that would be particular to an aircraft, not to a boat that would have been abandoned and such. So we think that it may be possibly debris of that aircraft. We're not exactly sure. Okay, thank you.
All right, that's Chief Strobridge.